So this is another story time about how I went on a date with a guy. And it's the guy that wore the gym shorts on my first time meeting each other. Complete turn off. Don't do that, y'all. So dude's begging. He's been begging to see me for a minute. And I just kept telling him, oh yeah, this was in May. Month just passed. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm super busy this month. So like, if you want to see me, it just got to be on my time and not yours. And he seemed cool about it, but then he just kept asking when he was going to see me. So he finally was like, oh yeah, I'm off today. I want to see you type shit. And I'm like, okay, I guess you can see me tonight. Low-key, don't have nothing planned. First red flag, because how you begging to see me? I have nothing planned. But I was honestly bored, and I assumed, hey, maybe if anything, we can go and get a drink, and then I can go really see the nigga I want to see. Okay. So time goes by, and I have not heard from this man. Then I finally hear from him, and it's like 8:45-ish. And where I live, it's not a whole lot of stuff to do after a certain time. I mean, it's stuff to do, but it's not a whole lot, because our nightlife is not popping like that. This ain't New York, baby. It's not Atlanta. So I ended up giving him my idea. I was like, okay, let's go bowling. And the bowling alley we're going to has a bar inside. He's like, okay, let's go. Second red flag, he texted me and he's like, oh yeah, I'm high as hell. Why is it the first time you're meeting me, you're not sober? I don't like that. Granted, I should have left after that. I shouldn't have went. I should have stayed my behind home after that first red flag. But I was trying to get a drink and I was not going to have to pay for it. So we get to the bowling alley or whatever. And we go inside. And it's like a little club, bar, bowling alley. So you have to be on the wait list because all the lanes were booked. Get on the wait list. We sitting down. He's like, you want something to drink? I was like, nah, not yet. I'd rather wait until we get a lane before I start drinking. And he's like, okay, conversation's trash in person. You have all this on the phone and the text messages. But in person, you real boring. I don't like that either. Because if one thing about me, I'm going to talk. I'm going to have some conversation. So we sit in there, and out of nowhere, he's like, I really don't feel like sitting here waiting. And y'all, the wait time was 30 minutes. 30 minutes. And I'm like, okay, so what you want to do? Because you're not pitching any ideas. And he's like, oh, let's go by the Riverwalk. Let's go see the fountain. I've never been at nighttime. And I'm like, okay, it's homeless people out there. And he looks at me with a stink look. And he's like, okay, what's wrong with homeless people? And I was like, nothing, but it's dark and it's late. We're going to walk near a water and a fountain this late. Literally, my mind went to just being mugged. Because if I was homeless, I'd be mugging people. Shit. And he's like, oh, just like real dumbfounded because it's clicking. Well, sir, maybe if you were sober, everything would have processed sooner. I don't know. So I'm like, just real turned off. And at this point, I'm really just ready to leave. So I'm like, okay, so how about we go to this bar? The guy has the nerve to say, oh yeah, I really don't feel like walking in these shoes. These shoes new. Why did you wear?
So last November, I went to get drinks and walk around Lake Merritt with someone I met off of Tinder. We meet up in downtown Oakland and he says, I would take you out for a drink, but I actually just got one with my brother. A little weird considering that we'd had this date planned ahead of time, but not bad enough to really set off any alarms. So we get started on making our loop around Lake Merritt. This usually takes like about an hour or so. For context, he's tall, white, and has ACAB in his Tinder bio. That really should have been my first red flag. Anyway, we're walking and this man straight up tells me he doesn't date white women because he just doesn't find any of them attractive. And y'all, it only got worse from there.
So I'm in my car right now after a first date, if we can even call it that. I just had to tell this story while it's still fresh and the emotions are still percolating. This guy had messaged me for several weeks on and off sporadically, usually asking if I was free last minute. Finally, he commits to 2 days in advance and says, how about Tuesday night? Great, Tuesday night works. He suggests the bar, suggests the time. I say perfect. So we're both running a little late. It's fine. It's LA and there's always traffic. I get to the bar before him and the door is locked. Because of course, it's mid-December. Companies are having private parties. I don't blame him for that. But I tell him I think they're having a private event. The door is locked. There's catered food outside on the patio. Do you know of anywhere else? So he's taking forever to park, which, again, LA, it happens. Finally, he walks up, not looking totally unkempt, but the vest he's wearing, I find out he's doing house renovations. Clearly, he is painting in that fucking vest. So he tells me, I'm kind of new to this neighborhood. I don't really know what else is around. I had already looked in my phone while I was waiting for him. I say, I only see one bar within walking distance. Let's give it a try. Now, granted, I have had a very long day. No, a very long month, a very long quarter at work. I am so decision fatigued and tired of running the lives of grown-ass adults. But still, here I am, leading the way in this man's neighborhood. And so we get to the alternate bar. It's a little hole-in-the-wall place. I'm thinking maybe it'll be a little loud in there, not the easiest for us to have a conversation. But it's not anything super sketchy or out of the ordinary for a dive bar. But clearly, he's uncomfortable being there. I ask, do you want to get a drink? And he just kind of stands around and looks like, do I? But then I'm looking at the clientele, and I have no way to verify this, but I have a sneaking suspicion he's uncomfortable because most of the patrons are not white. And I'm like, okay, dude, I don't care if you want to stay or want to go, but for the love of God, just make a choice. And he's like, oh, we could maybe get a bottle of wine, go back to my place in my courtyard. And I'm like, how far is it? Clearly it's far enough that you had to drive here. So we start walking back. He had already told me about the shitty stuff he had to deal with today. He starts asking me about mine. And I'm just like, I gotta be honest, man. This shit is not helping. So we start walking back to the original bar where we met because they do have a little food stand where you can buy some beers and wine. And I say, okay, do you want to just grab a glass of wine or a beer here? And he's like, yeah, sure, we could do that. But, can I Zelle you? He's like, yeah, I was actually running late because I forgot my wallet. Can I Zelle you for the cost of a bottle of wine? And as a disaster of a human being who loses shit all the time, if that had happened to me, which it very well could, the first thing I would have said when I rolled up late would be, I'm so sorry. I could not find my wallet anywhere. I was looking for it, but I didn't want to keep you waiting any longer. But no, he doesn't mention it then, doesn't mention it at any point in the 15 minutes we spend walking around the block. And honestly, again, I get it. Shit happens. But what gets me, what really fucking gets me, is that there's no hint of accountability whatsoever. Not one utterance of, I'm sorry, I fucked up. That's what I find inexcusable. That and the potential racism. So I literally just look at him dumbfounded. Like, seriously, bro? No, I don't want to Zelle you at this point. And he's like, oh yeah, let's just call it. And as I turn to walk to my car, he's like, oh, it was nice to meet you. And I'm like, let's be real here. Let's not pretend that this was cool. He just crosses the street, mumbling something to himself. Again, no apologies. And real talk, nothing about it shocks me. None of it. In the realm of dating horror stories, this wasn't all that bad. But it's just how pervasive and continuous it is. This man is 40 years old. And then people wonder why there's a male loneliness epidemic and shame women for choosing to be single. You think a sane person would choose to endure this? You want to complain how women are too emotional? Y'all are lucky I'm emotional. If I was thinking more logically, I'd have written you off a long time ago. And many women have. And you know what? More power to him. Because I don't begrudge any woman who doesn't want to spend her Tuesday night doing this.
I almost got murdered today. And this is what happened. I matched with this guy on Bumble. We talk, exchange a few messages back and forth, and then we switch to WhatsApp. We decided to go on a date, so he planned one for today. When I asked him to send me what bar we're going to, he sent me a postcode, and he was like, meet here. So I Googled the postcode, and I put on maps, and it was flats. There was like a residential street. So I was like, what is this? I don't want to meet here. Like, can we just meet at the bar? No, he was like, no, just meet me here. We can walk together. And I was like, can I just please meet you at the bar? And again, he was just like, just meet me here. Obviously, I was still going to go to the bar. He eventually told me the bar's name. And I am coming, I was supposed to be in the office today, so I would have been coming from wherever my office is. And he chose a place that's like an hour away by tube. And it's a Tuesday, so I didn't really want to do that. I was like, that's too far. I don't want to be back late and then end up having to take like a really expensive Uber back to my house. And he was like, it's not far at all. Like, just walk across the bridge and then you can tube to one stop, which it wasn't. It would still take me about an hour to get there. So I was like, no, can we just meet somewhere in the middle so that we can both travel? It's not just like, I don't know. It's because he lives in that area that he wanted to do that he chose the bar in. He was adamant on not changing the location. And he was just like, why are you making such a big deal out of it? It's not a big deal. The Uber's not expensive. He like looked up the price. And he was like, it's only £15, which it would not be because from my house to like the bar by Uber would be like probably 30 pounds, especially late at night. There was a bit of back and forth, and then I was like, okay, you know what, let's just reschedule for a different day, because this is obviously like not working, and now we're just like in a bit of a fight, so it's just weird and awkward, and maybe we shouldn't even go on a date. I didn't say that part. But anyways, he was like, well, I can't now because I've had to put my credit card down, and they're gonna charge me if I cancel the reservation because it's less than 24 hours. I went onto the website of the bar and I clicked reserve a table. You did not have to put your credit card down. I could easily you just have to fill out your name, and that's it. And something told me to reverse image search his pictures, and I used this website. It's called facecheck.id, and it basically is like reverse image search for social profiles and stuff. I put his picture in there, and it comes up with this like fitness gym model based in Germany. I live in London. So I was like, okay. And it had a completely different name. And all the pictures that were on his profile were taken from that person's profile. So at that point, I was like, okay, what the hell? So he wanted to meet me at this random postcode, not the bar. Random postcode, looked like a residential street. I'm assuming it was his place. He was adamant on not changing the location. He specifically wanted to meet there, and he would not meet me halfway. He lied about the credit card, putting it down. And then he's not even real. So I don't know what the intention was. I don't know what would have happened if I went. And it's supposed to be in a few hours. So I obviously have not done anything. I screenshotted the profile, the fitness model's Instagram, and I sent it to him. But now I'm really scared, actually. So I reported him on Bumble. I'm going to block him on WhatsApp before he even responds, because I don't know what would have happened, but everything is just like alarm bells. And there, I'm pretty sure that would have been the last day that I was seen alive. So yeah, that is how I almost got killed.
I just got home from a date, and I am nothing short of livid. This was our second date. We go on our second date. It's like 10 p.m. because that's like once he got off work, and I was like making myself available. We have a meal. We share a meal. I didn't even get my own meal. $41. Let's make that known. Then he's like, hey, do you want to go get a drink after? Okay, great. We go have a drink. We have a couple drinks. And the bartender's like, oh, same tab? He's like, yeah, sure. And I was like, okay, cool. Thank you. And I said, thanks for the meal and the beers. We walk outside. I'm expecting him to like kiss me. Right? He goes, oh, do you want to go back to my place? It's already 1:30 at this point. And that's just like not really my vibe. So I was like, no, it's getting late. Not tonight. Looks at me. Hold on, let me take my glasses off. He looks at me and goes, okay. And turns around and walks to his car. Okay. So I go to my car and I'm thinking, okay, so we're probably done. Like, he probably just wanted to like have sex with me, right? This man has the absolute audacity to call me on my way home and goes, so what was the point of me paying for your meal and drinks then? I said, oh, well, if you couldn't afford the $41 and the $21 at the bar, I could have paid for it. He's like, obviously I can afford it, Hannah. I was like, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that this was a prostitution situation. I didn't realize that I had to fuck you after you paid for my meal. And he goes, that's not what I'm asking, but what was the point of me doing all that? I said, it was a second date. He's getting like hostile with me. And I was about to say, you probably should have just hired a prostitute. And then he hung up on me, and as I'm driving, he blocks me on my phone, blocks me on Bumble, blocks me on Instagram. I'm like, I'm so annoyed that that's even, if I don't want to sleep with you on the second date, I'm not going to. It's even like an okay thing for someone to like express that like, I paid for your meal, now you have to fuck me. That's insanity to me. Are you kidding? I'm gonna delete every single app. I can't do this anymore.
Here are the story times of my first and last dates. Basically, first dates that were so fucking horrible, they never had a second date. This first one will forever be my biggest, like, what the fuck date was that? A couple years ago, I celebrated New Year's in Miami with one of my best friends. We had no New Year's Eve plans heading into Miami. We were like, whatever is meant for us, like, we'll find us, whatever, like that. But I did make us both download Hinge and put the age range to pretty fucking old, just because old men got it going on in Miami, to say the least. So I matched with this man, and he's telling me everything I want to hear. He's like, you know what, like, come on my yacht when you're in Miami. I'm like, yeah, of course, you're going to see my ass on your yacht, of course. But it's the day before New Year's Eve. We still have no plans, and we're like, we don't know what the fuck we're going to do, but we'll figure it out. So the man's texting me about me being his New Year's kiss, and I'm like, yeah, Lincoln, love to be your New Year's kiss, whatever. Also, he was like an NFL player. Like, he was very attractive too. Like, he was cute. I was like, it wasn't like I was dating a fucking grandpa in Miami. Like, no, he was like pretty cute, whatever. And he was like, I want you to be like my New Year's kiss. I was like, of course, babe. But in the back of my head, I'm like, we need to fucking do something for New Year's Eve. So like, yeah, whatever. And he's like, I have you and your best friend. I have tickets for the both of you guys for this rooftop event in Miami. And I'm like, okay, perfect. My best friend and I are so excited that we have plans for New Year's Eve that I'm not even realizing that this is going to be my first date with this man on New Year's fucking Eve. And like, I really do not know this man well at all. So like, bold fucking move on my end. Day comes, I'm like, whatever, I can talk to a brick fucking wall. Like, I can talk to this man like the whole entire night. Also, like, he's cute. Like, I'm low-key interested. And I wasn't like that nervous because I was like, literally, I can talk to a brick fucking wall for hours. Like, I genuinely talk to myself. So I'm like, everything will be fine. Everything will be well. We get there, I start talking to this man. We have no fucking chemistry. And I'm like, great, it's New Year's fucking Eve and I have to talk to this man for hours. And I like, immediately, we have no fucking chemistry. Also, to make things 35 times worse, he was like trying to flirt with me, and he was like, are you wearing underwear with your dress? And guys, like, honestly, normally I'm never wearing underwear. Like, I just hate underwear. But like, thank the fucking gods that I was this day. He grabs like my vajayjay, and I was like, okay, like, this is so uncomfortable. He was like trying to be sexy with it, and I was like, okay, no, like, we literally met 10 minutes ago, and this man just like grabbed my vajayjay, and now I'm stuck with him this entire fucking night. But I'm like, I fucking refuse to ring in my New Year on a bad note. Like, no, we're gonna have a good fucking time if it's the last thing I do. Go to part 2.
Picture this. You're going on a date with an absolute fucking dreamboat. You're going on a 5th date with someone who literally checks all of the boxes. And you're like, where have you been? And maybe they have a few red flags, but you're like, no, stop, I don't want to see it, right? You're going on a 5th date, dressed to the fucking nines, feeling real good about yourself. And when you're at the restaurant, this man is showing clear interest. He's putting his arm around you. He's touching your leg. He's getting real close when he's talking to you. And you're like, sir, if you don't stop, I'm gonna need a new skirt because the floodgates are opening. Stop, right? He's PDAing all over the fucking restaurant. He's showing the whole restaurant that you're his, and it's so hot and attractive, and you're like, the sparks are flying, the chemistry is chemistrying, this is so romantic, I'm having such a nice time, right? So the plan after dinner was to walk back to his place because it was fairly close, but it was a little brisk, it was a little cold outside. He's like, Aubrey, your lips are fucking purple, like, you're shivering, we should probably just get a car. And I was like, you care about me, stop. Okay, so we get a car, we go back to his place. And he's showing me all of his little trinkets, telling me where he got them, and then he starts showing me his projects and telling me what really motivates him, and like showing me what he does for a living. And I'm like, you want to be the father of my children. Why are you showing me that you can be a provider? Stop, okay? It was the 5th date. We hadn't done anything yet. He passed the grip test. Ladies, you know what I'm talking about with the grip test, okay? Passed the grip test. Tonight may have been the night, right? So he says, do you want to smoke a blunt? And I said, sure. So we smoke a blunt. We're having a good time. We're laughing. And then finally, we get to the bedroom. And I'm like, this is going to be great. This is going to be awesome. And I was wrong, okay? Sparks were dead. I was like, where did they go? Come back. Where's the chemistry? Let's make some potions or something. Like, what's happening? This is terrible. It was awkward. It was quiet. It was dry. Okay, never fucking smoke a blunt for the first time doing the deed, because it will never do you right. Okay, there was plenty of times that I had to stop him and say, can you get me the water on the nightstand? Because I need it. Like, I turned into fucking SpongeBob when he needed the fucking water, okay? She needed the water. I wanted to take the bottle and squeeze it up my fucking vagina to get it moist again, right? At one point, it was so quiet that I was like, can you say something to me? And he was like, what do you want me to say? And I was like, oh God, you don't get it. Never mind. Never mind. It was so weird, so uncomfortable. After the deed was done, I was sitting in a pool of regret. I was thinking about all of the things that had happened, all the great chemistry that we had and how it didn't translate to the physical chemistry. And I was like, oh my God, what just happened? This could not get any worse. Am I going to see this person again? I have no idea. And as I'm thinking those things, this man starts to get up out of bed and literally starts singing. And I still haven't found what I'm looking for. And I still haven't found what this man starts singing this right after we just had sex, okay? And I literally thought to myself, sir, what are you looking for? What are you looking for? Because you just had your little pee-pee inserted in my vajayjay. What the fuck are you singing that for? And I haven't seen him since. So that was my worst dating experience.
Story time about the worst date that I ever been on that I literally thought I was being punked. So I just want to preface this by saying that your single season is not a waiting season. It's a season just like any other season. And I just feel like that's really important to say before I start this story time, because a lot of people will be single and they'll miss out on the beauty of that season because they think that because they're single, it means they're waiting. You being single doesn't mean you're waiting. It's a season like any other season. So at one point in my life, I used to work as a server at Red Lobster. And I was serving this table. It was 2 men and it was 4 kids. And I served them to the best of my ability like I did with every other table. When I finished serving, they complimented me on how well I served them. And so I told them, thank you. I would love to serve you again. Come back anytime. My name is Joanne and just ask for me. So naturally, the server was supposed to bus the table at that time, but for whatever reason, they had the host busing all the tables. So the host was about 16 years old. She was a really young girl, and she came running to me in the back as I was like getting bread for my next table. And she was like, Anna. And I was like, girl, what? Because she was like really energetic. So I was just like, girl, I don't have time. I'm working right now. And she was like, come outside. And I was like, come outside for what? And because she wouldn't tell me why I should come outside, I didn't come outside because I had to work. And if you were in the serving industry, if you've ever been or if you are in it, you know that there's no time to waste because people don't play when it comes to food. And the tips, you were working for tips. So of course I didn't go outside because she liked to play a lot and I didn't have time for that day. So she left and then she came back and then she gave me a napkin. And I was like, why are you giving me a napkin? And she was like, open it. I'm like, girl, I don't have time to play. And she was like, just open it. I opened the napkin. So finally, I decided to open the napkin. And lo and behold, what was inside the napkin? It was numbers. But I'm not going to lie to y'all, that never happened to me before. So I was just like, why are there numbers in the napkin? Like, slow girl moment, okay? I was like, what is this? And she was like, you remember the guy at the table with the chain on? I was like, yeah. She was like, he left you his number. And I was like, on a napkin? And then she was like, yeah. She was like, text him. I was like, all right, sis, relax. He just left. And I was like, I'm not texting him. I just wasn't, like, interested. Like, I already seen him and I knew he wasn't my type. Like, yeah, he looks good. Like, he had the little chain on and everything or whatever. But I just wasn't interested for some reason. I wasn't gravitating towards him. And so she just kept, like, pushing me, like, girl, you're literally single. And, like, every time someone tries to talk to you, you're always like, no. So I was like, okay, whatever, I'll text him. But I was like, I'm texting him when my shift was over. So my shift was over at like 10:30, but really left by like 11:20 because, you had to clean your areas, clean the tables and etc. So I texted him. When I texted the number, the person was like, who's this? And then I replied, the fact that you just gave out your number and you're already asking who's this lets me know that you give out your number very often. And he was like, no, not at all. This number is connected to like so many different things. And then he was like, who is this though? And I sent a picture of a lobster. And then he laughed. So he started texting me, was like, I think you're so beautiful. I love the way that you served us. I'd love to get to know you more and take you on a date. And then I was like, it was just replaying in my head. She was like, you're single and you're always telling everybody no. I was like, you know what, let me just see what he's talking about. So I said, okay. He said, when are you free? I said, I'm never free. I make time. I make myself available, but I'm never free. I'm always working and I'm in school. So he said, cool, tell me your work schedule. I'm going to open a brief parenthesis. You don't never tell no man your work schedule that you do not know. I did not tell that man my work schedule. I didn't know him. Next thing you know, people start pulling up to your job. It's the time that you work. I don't have time for that. So I was just like, okay, well, you know, Thursdays at this time, you know, I don't work. I'm free, whatever. Y'all know what this man did? He asked me, what's your favorite kind of cuisine? I told him, like, I'm a steak girl. I like steak. I'm not a fan of seafood, really. I just said I like steak, you know, pasta and whatnot. I literally kid you not. It didn't even take 20 minutes. He texted me a reservation. He sent me the reservation. He sent me the dress code, what time to be there, and he said, see you there. I was like, what? Like, I wasn't really dating at that time, so, like, I never, like, experienced that before, so I thought that was very, like, macho of him. So I was like, okay, Mr. Sir, okay. So the day of the date comes, and I'm the type of person, like, I change my hair a lot, and, like, when it comes to a date, I want to have a new outfit, I want to look good, you know, best self. Because how you present yourself the first time is always going to leave the last image in someone's head. So, of course, I got ready for the date, and, you know, nails done, hair done, everything done, yada, yada, yada. And he texted me again the same day, you know, good morning, beautiful. Can't wait to see you later. Da-da-da. Don't forget the reservation is at this time. Da-da, whatever. Side note, it's very important. You, like, ladies, this is me, but, like, if a man invites to take you on a date and he doesn't text you the whole day, the day of the date, for me, I'm not going on the date because I need some type of confirmation that we're still going on that date. Good morning. Maybe I'm having a busy day. I can't wait to see you later, or can't wait to see you later, beautiful, da-da-da, whatever. But if you don't text me throughout the whole day and at the time that we're supposed to go on a date, where you at, blocked. Because we have respect for ourselves, and you set the tone for how a man loves you and respects you. No one gets to choose how they love you. You set the tone, and you get to accept if you want to receive that kind of love or not. Anyways, moving forward. I get to the venue, and I text him. He was already there ahead of me, of course. As a woman, you should be a little bit late to the date. This is just me. I'm going to make a statement. I'm looking good. I'm smelling good. You know, I'm going to come a little bit late. So I get there and I text him. I'm like, hey, I made it. He was like, okay, cool. I'm at the bar. That was red flag number 1 for me. And I'm going to tell y'all at the end of the video why. Okay, that was red flag number 1 for me. I said, okay, I'm coming in. So I took a little bit of time before I went inside. So I walk inside the establishment and I look to my right and he's sitting at the bar. And there were like 3 finished drinks in front of him plus another one in his hand. I'm very observant. Like, I was observing. And then I was just like, hey. He was like, hey, beautiful. And then he came by and he tipped the person who was the bartender. And then he came over to me. But he's walking to me with a drink in his hand. So I'm like, okay, he's already on his 4th drink and he's still standing tall. So I think this one's a drinker. So we're walking towards the front of the restaurant because it was a little walk to move from the bar to the restaurant. He asked, do I want to sit at the bar? You never go on a date to sit at the bar, ever. Sit at a table, sit at a booth. Respect yourself. So I was like, I prefer a booth table. And so the host came, asked us where we wanted to sit. He left that up to me, and I told him he can choose. I let him lead. So he figured out where we were going to sit. We get to the table, and it wasn't chairs, so there wasn't a chair for him to pull out. The lower section had chairs, but the upper part had booths. So he let me sit first, and then he sat on the opposite side. And the server asked us, because the server already came quick, and she asked us, you know, what do you want to drink? And I said, I have a water, no ice with lemon. I always start with water or tea. And he asked me, he was like, you don't want to drink? I was like, no, I'm okay. A water and a lemon is good for right now. He insisted, like, let's get a bottle or something. I was like, no, I'm okay. I'm really okay. Like, I'm not being modest. I'm really okay, sir. This man ordered a drink for me anyways, okay? He ordered a ginger martini. And I believe he got a Henny and Coke and then some other drink that I'm not too familiar with. Ladies, if you know, you know. That was red flag number 2 for me. The date hasn't even started yet. We're already at 2 red flags. The server proceeded to ask us, what do we want for a server? What do we want for an appetizer? And he asked me, have I ever been here before? I was like, no, I haven't. This is my first time. And so he said, is there anything like that you want to try? Me, automatically, I'm a dip person once it comes to appetizers at a restaurant. I said, oh, we can try this dip. He was like, nah, not really. I think you'll like this better. And he ordered it. Red flag number 3. So the server takes the order. And then y'all won't believe what happened next.